Tyler Hoechlin wants to play James Gunn's Batman. Well, apparently, he almost was Batman before he became TV Superman. So anyway, once again, here we are at Cosmic Book News. Who has the lowdown? So Tyler Hoechlin, again, he said this before, says he wants to play Batman, this time for James Gunn's DCU. Recall that not me, Matt McCloy, first said Hoechlin was up to play Batman years ago when they were developing a movie titled The Batman. Why does that sound familiar? Featuring Batman in his second year of being a hero. Gee, that sounds familiar too. Well, from what Matt was told, DC back then would have gone in that direction if Man of Steel hit $1 billion at the box office. When it didn't, they pivoted to the older Batman with Ben Affleck, scrapped plans for Man of Steel #2, and a separate Batman movie, which this would have been the better approach. I don't know how Hoechlin would have done as Batman, but even if they had put Affleck in his own that and then bring them to, but whatever. A movie featuring a younger version and went with Batman versus Superman. These producers involved then cast Tyler Hoechlin as their Superman in the CW DC universe and Superman and Lois, arguably the best version of Superman we've got since Christopher Reeve. He did a good job in that. It was a good show, and for what it had and all that, and different iterations of it, but still true to the core and personality of Superman. And he and the actress playing Lois Lane worked very well together. It was a fun, wholesome show. Ended too soon. Matt Reeves then got to do The Batman. Oh, yeah. Featuring Robert Pattinson in his second year of being a hero. Yeah. From what Matt was told back then, Reeves was up to take over DC. But Nolan made the call to give DC to Snyder. So he's been chasing this for quite a while. But really, his Batman is kind of just a ripoff of the grounded in reality aspect of Nolan's Batman. Who knows what he would have done at the time. But this happens over and over again with different properties in Hollywood, where you finally get the film and you're like, wow, this is cool. Where did it start? A long time ago. People pitched ideas, they move them around, but the basic setup and whatnot is pretty old by the time you actually get the movie made and put out. So chasing this idea of a movie simply called The Batman hung around for a long time. So I don't know if this has been completely confirmed, but I do remember McCloy talking about this, that this was the plan and Hoechlin was the one they were looking at to take on the role. But I think not just the age, but they wanted a name star to take on the role, and they went with Affleck. And that's what they did at the time. But a lot of this, it rings true that at least some attempt of that was underway, for there to be, a separate Batman film franchise and a Superman franchise, and then cross them over, But they panicked. They didn't make $1 billion out the gate, but they shouldn't have. It made enough. You just had to start. That's how Marvel did it. You were gonna have to catch up. That's all there is to it. But I don't know, they panicked and all that. But anyway, back to what Tyler Hoechlin has to say. The actor appeared at this weekend's Toronto Fan Expo Canada and was asked by Screen Rant if the Robert Pattinson Batman would fit with Gunn's DCU. Hoechlin responded he hopes they don't merge the universes, as he still wants to play Batman. Well, selfishly, I'm going to say no, because I still want to play Batman. I think and I say that Rob did a fantastic job with Matt Reeves. It was great. So I'm happy to let them keep doing their thing and maybe leave the door open. because of now, so many years later, he's old enough to play the character that Gunn keeps saying he wants to see. He wants to see a team up between, Batman and the Damian Wayne Robin, which is Batman's son. So some years have gone on. So once again, we're back to a much older Batman that they ended up doing with Affleck. So anyway, regarding what's going on with the DCU Batman, Gunn has basically said they are waiting for the Batman #2 to be released in 2027. Gunn is also said to be writing a new movie as part of the Superman saga. So who knows? Maybe it will feature the DC Dark Knight. So once again, you introduce your Batman, not in a Batman movie, but in a Superman movie. I don't know. It's strange. Andy Muschietti is said to still be attached to Brave and the Bold, with the script still getting worked on. For what it's worth, Muschietti did attend Gunn's Superman premiere. Reeves, too. So they're all just the best of buds. So it's fine. I mean, Muschietti, people believe they're going to, saddle him with the blame for the Flash movie. It's not his fault. There's a whole lot went on there. Not just Ezra Miller's scandals and all that. That's way out of Muschietti's hands. So he really should not be punished for that. So... but maybe he will. I don't know. But so far, officially, he's still the director for the Batman movie. So anyway, it's also been said Gunn does want Pattinson as the DCU Dark Knight. But maybe Reeves doesn't want that. Another name thrown out there for Gunn's DCU Batman has been Brandon Skelnar. Not all that familiar of him, but I have heard his name. There's also Henry Cavill thrown in because, speaking of ex-Superman, who would, I've no doubt he could do it. He could be a good Batman, and it would be interesting and all that. Because early on, Gunn said he did talk to Henry about the potential of playing another character in the DCU. And apparently I think he was offered something and he said, no thanks. And he moved on. But I doubt that would have been Batman. I wonder if he was offered to play the clone of Superman in the movie. Because he and, of course, do resemble one another. But nevertheless, perhaps, just if they had offered him Batman, I have a hard time believing he would turn that down. So... maybe. But since there is, I guess this is a true story. I never heard it confirmed, but I tend to believe it, that Hoechlin was in the running to play Batman. Maybe he'll get it. I don't know. So, it's a possibility. But he's not the only one teased for the role. No, Chris Pratt. Because, him and James Gunn. They have history. You might have heard about it. But James Gunn says no, he's not going to play Batman. Chris Pratt won't be playing Batman anytime soon or at all, according to James Gunn. But the actor still has a future in the DCU. Pratt, of course, played Star-Lord in Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy movies and the Avengers films. Look, he fits in the suit and everything. All that trouble. He's not... while appearing on Gunn is asked if Pratt will be playing Batman. As Batman? No, replied Gunn. As something? Yes. Chris Pratt is one of my best friends. We talk all the time. He's a great guy. He would love to do something at DC. I would love for him to do something at DC. There's these rumors. They want to cast the Nanjiani guy for Booster Gold. Chris Pratt could have easily knocked it out of the park with Booster Gold. Now, he's older than the role would ordinarily be, but then so John Gianni, I don't think they're that far apart in age. But again, Star-Lord, the way he's performed and whatnot in Guardians is very similar to the personality of Booster Gold. That being said, that's more original to Booster Gold than to Star-Lord. You know, it's all official now because they're retconned and everything. But anyway. So, if not Batman or Booster Gold, what could he... Oh. Gunn is asked if Pratt will play Wonder Woman, which drew a laugh. You're not supposed to laugh at that. Why can't he? Anyway, he would be a terrible Wonder Woman, said Gunn. That would be terrible. Why? Because he's a man. Gunn also said no to Shazam, and then asked who he could play, replied, I have to think about it. It's also remarked that Gunn is going to bring some of his best friends to the MCU, which Gunn, you mean DCU, which he confirmed he already has, as some of them appear in the Superman movie. For audiences that have seen Superman, they already know there are a couple of people in Superman that I worked with at Marvel. What about these two? As we just went over, Tyler Hoechlin threw his name into the hat to play Batman. The Brave and the Bold is still said to be happening. Matt Reeves' The Batman Part Number 2 is also getting released in 2027 and will be separate from the DCU, at least for now. I don't know. They may have to do something about it because it's late in the hour for this. It could be that the DCU collapses while the Batman's still going on. And they did mention early on there's a plan B. It's just Batman. You know. And the first movie didn't do that great, and I didn't care for it. But the Penguin series was excellent. And if that type of excellence is what appears in Batman 2, you're getting the Batman 3. Yeah. I don't know if they want to build a shared universe out of that. Maybe. But I don't know. By the time you get to Batman 3, with this much time in between the movies, Robert Pattinson's going to be ready to move on. So, I don't know. But, you're going to end up in a situation, it's almost impossible to avoid at what they claim they're up for. You're going to have two competing Batman franchises, and I just don't really see them, certainly not wanting to do it. So, boy, it's a conundrum, but DC always puts itself in something like that. But this is what their star character, so it's odd. I mean, I suppose it could do every other year. Every year is a Batman movie. It's just next year, it'll be Pattinson. The following year, it'll be, I don't know, Tyler Hoechlin, whatever, I suppose they could do that. Batman all the time. Yeah, they probably wouldn't do that either. So I don't know. It's, quite a fix, isn't it? Yeah.